Good evening, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, and this is the video we call Weather for Weather Geeks. It's the Valley's most in-depth, geeky weather forecast you're going to find for our area. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about when I say our area, I'm a television meteorologist in Youngstown, Ohio. I cover mostly Northeast Ohio and Western PA, but we talk about a lot of regional and national weather stories and other sciencey stuff in this video. Let's start out with the weekend. You know, I kind of checked out of the weather on Saturday, watched the Browns game, and didn't really watch a lot of model trends. But even if I had, I'm not sure I would have expected what happened early Sunday morning with snow squalls. Our Arctic cold front arrived Sunday morning, and while snow squalls were always a possibility, in fact a good possibility, in central PA, even west central PA, you know, all the way back here to far eastern Ohio, we were not necessarily expecting some pre-dawn or right around dawn snow squalls that actually dropped a couple or even a handful of inches in parts of our area. So, you know, I was as surprised as a lot of people when I woke up and saw that some places have had snow squalls and 3, 4, even 5 inches worth of snow. This corridor of accumulating snow is mostly, well, from about Boardman and Poland and down towards Salem and Columbiana on eastward towards Newcastle, up towards New Wilmington, the Grove City area. Outside of that zone, the accumulations were fairly minor overall. But in that zone, yeah, we had a pretty healthy accumulation of snow early on Sunday morning, which, yeah, definitely came as a little bit of a surprise. Even a snow squall warning issued in parts of our viewing area, and that was in Lawrence County. That's the first snow squall warning issued by a Weather Service office for our viewing area, I think, in the last few years, since they started issuing those as products. All right, ineffective sunshine out there today. You know, classic midwinter day. The sun is only as strong now as it is in very late November. It's still not getting very high in the sky. We bottom out at a altitude above the horizon at solar noon on December 21st. We bottom out at the sun angle being 25.5. Today it's up to 28. You know, we're heading in the right direction, but it still, of course, doesn't do us much good when it's this cold. And, you know, the sun, even if it were warmer today, doesn't do us a lot of good in terms of melting any snow, certainly, when your sun is so weak. And we hit 0 this morning at the airport for the first time, hitting the goose egg since Christmas Eve last winter, back in 2022. We've been above 0 ever since. Now, we didn't go below 0 at the airport, but we did manage a clear sky long enough to get down to the goose egg this morning. Now, in our southern viewing area, we had a few more clouds for a while, so it didn't get quite as cold down there. But where we get our official measurements for our area at the Youngstown Warren Airport, we hit the goose egg this morning. You know, this looks like, when you look at the watch warning map, this looks like a big wound up system, right? Big winter storm. It's actually not. It's kind of a flat wave of low pressure. Not the strongest winter storm in the world, but especially in the southern U.S., you don't need the strongest storm in the world to cause a lot of problems. Shallow Arctic air down here. We had freezing rain earlier today with temperatures in the teens in parts of the deep south around Mississippi. We don't typically see freezing rain around here unless temperatures are in the 20s to near freezing. It's pretty rare at our latitude to see freezing rain and be in the teens, because typically the Arctic air is deeper this far to the north. So you're seeing maybe some sleet, but mostly snow when it's that cold. Down in the south, though, that layer of Arctic air is pretty shallow, and above that layer, of course, a lot of times it's still above freezing, so you get precipitation falling in the form of rain. And yeah, they had problems earlier today with freezing rain in parts of Mississippi, northern Alabama. Winter storm warnings extend upwards through Nashville, heading up into southeastern Kentucky, a good chunk of West Virginia, and heading down through the mountainous areas in the central Appalachians. This was the radar at 7:03 Eastern. It's a wintry mess in the higher terrain, the mountainous areas of western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, far southwestern Virginia as well. And you can see they're still having problems with some sleet and freezing rain and just generally a wintry mix down towards Huntsville, Alabama, and into Mississippi as well. All right, here at home, we've got that system just off to our east. We've got a separate system kind of pivoting through the Great Lakes over the next 12 hours or so. And the combination of those will make it so I think a little light snow is going to break out by about daybreak on Tuesday. Our expectations are for this to be pretty light, generally an inch or less. A lot of us will get a half an inch maybe, but it's going to be enough with temperatures in the teens that, you know, every flake can stick, and salt's not super effective in those cold temperatures. So it can be enough that you do need to use some caution, I think, for tomorrow morning. The snow is mostly here before about noon. We get a break then from the snow for Tuesday night. Daylight hours Wednesday, but then late Wednesday night into Thursday, which we're going to talk about in more detail coming up. That's our next chance for some snow. So if we had to put some odds on certain outcomes here, at least a coating, pretty good odds. I think most of us will see at least a little bit of a fresh coating. Seeing more than an inch, your odds go down to about 4 in 10. I think a lot of us are going to get a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Not all the snow in the world, but it's coming in the morning when a lot of people are heading off to work and school, and again, it's really cold, so every flake can stick. Now, there will be a handful of inches, you know, in the areas I just showed you in the radar that are pretty active. Eastern Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, a good chunk of West Virginia, Central and East Central PA, up into interior parts of New England. 3, 4, even 5, 6 inches in some spots through there. Again, in our TV market, a coating to an inch or so. Best chance of maybe seeing 1.5 inches for close to 2, maybe closer you are to Pittsburgh. And certainly heading over across I-80 and the PA Turnpike in southern Pennsylvania, you're going to find some higher amounts over there. So use caution tomorrow morning. Once we lose the snow by midday, a little bit of sunshine tries to return here and there. Wednesday looks uneventful, but this will be the coldest morning of the week, with wind chills well below 0 Wednesday morning, probably on the order of -10, -12. Overall, just a ho-hum, uneventful day Wednesday, even some sun, but much like today, it'll be pretty ineffective. Now, let's talk about the end of the week. We don't have a big weather system heading our way, but once again, we're going to get nickel and dimed a little bit here. Once this light snow pushes in Thursday morning, I think it's going to try to stick around for a lot of the day. In fact, another system comes down through the flow then later Thursday night and especially into the daylight hours Friday, and I think light snow is likely throughout the day Friday as well. Now, this is going to be a good 36 hours of mostly light snow. It's going to be slow to accumulate, but it is going to stick. And I do think there can be some accumulation. So here's, again, what to expect. We kind of went over Tuesday. Light snow likely most of the day Thursday, and more light snow. There may be a break Thursday night, but more light snow pushes back in on Friday as it stays very, very cold. And, we're going to get into more details on accumulation expectations for Thursday and Friday once we get done with tomorrow's system. But you can see our medium range models here over the next 7 days all have a handful of inches. I think our snowpack by Friday evening and into Friday night in most of our area will be several inches. Whether it's 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, something like that, it's going to be certainly a handful. So we're going to have our challenges for travel Thursday into Friday. Even though it's not a big snowstorm, it's going to be enough to make things a little bit tricky. We're finally seeing some tenuous ice forming on the western end of Lake Erie. You may have seen all the wind over Lake Erie really drained a lot of water from the far western end of Lake Erie, even exposing a shipwreck and other interesting things far, far western end of Lake Erie. But elsewhere, the story has become, the lack of ice so far this winter. But we are starting to see some tenuous ice western end of Lake Erie. The Great Lakes as a whole only at 4% ice coverage. That will certainly change in the next handful of days. We're going to stay in the deep freeze through the weekend. We'll get one more reinforcing shot of cold at the start of the weekend with a blustery, nasty Saturday. Wind chills might stay below 0 on Saturday, air temperatures in the teens. But a week from today, we get above freezing for the first time in about 9 or 10 days, and we should stay well above freezing for next week. I think we have some 40s in our future for next week, and that's why the map looks like this. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook today from the Climate Prediction Center. Actually, this is kind of a coast-to-coast blowtorch. We're getting back, temporarily anyway, to the kind of pattern we had for a lot of December. Now, I do think this will come to an end at the very end of January and the start of February, and I'm still pretty confident that February will have plenty of opportunities for cold and snow. But we're going to get a midwinter respite next week. A good 5 or 6, maybe even 7 days of above average temperatures. Pothole season will begin in earnest after spending a week well below freezing. All right, so a lot to keep track of over the next week. This is the video you want to keep checking out each evening on my YouTube channel, and make sure you're following me on all the social medias. Thanks for watching tonight. I'll see you back here on Tuesday.